And then we were trapped.
We were literally trapped
inside of this little place. Electrical work.
Spider's nest. And I got bit.
Plumbing.
Look down and I'm literally bleeding. Smoke alarms are going off at 5 a.m. Active construction site.
Away we go traveling.
You know how sometimes you book an Airbnb and it's just a little off?
Sometimes everything's off.
Well, buckle up, friends. We have a story for you.
In this video, we're going to talk about the things we learned from this stay, what you can do to protect yourself if you have this same type of stay or really any stay for Airbnb, and some of the tips that we would recommend that if you're an Airbnb host, that you provide for your guests.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Welcome back to Away We Go Traveling. I'm Kara. This is Gary.
Hi.
We have a story for you today.
Story time.
Story time. After 6 months of full-time travel, we found the Airbnb nightmare.
We did. Unfortunately, this one went from a little bit off to what in the hell is happening?
Here we go.
We're a full-time traveling couple who retired early, and we're traveling around the United States in our SUV, and we are primarily staying at Airbnbs, which is where the story comes from.
We've been on the road for 6 months, and we've had amazing experiences up to this point.
I guess you have to have bad ones to appreciate the good ones.
So let's start from the beginning, which is the great place to start every story.
Sure.
So it was billed as this peaceful, beautiful little, in a kind of a pseudo-coastal town, and it was supposed to be really charming and quiet. Seemed perfect.
Right.
The second we arrived, we realized things were going to be different. The listing specified that it was 2 steps down into this unit apartment. What we didn't realize was it was the literal basement of an old historic house.
Mm-hmm. Which could have been okay, except that in addition to the stairs, we had a 5-foot tall hobbit door to go through.
It was a hobbit door.
And I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but I'm over 6 foot. And it's a challenge to go down 2 stairs and duck at the same time. It's like, well, this is going to be a long month.
Yeah, and I'm barely over 5 feet, and it was still, for me, I'm the one who hit my head more than anybody because I'm not used to ducking things.
That's true.
So number one, like we were moving our suitcases into the unit, and immediately I hit my head. And
Started the day off badly.
That's where we started. Went through the hobbit door, 2 steps down into a very dark basement. Looking around, we could see that automatically things were not right. The listing called out a dishwasher, which was not there. Oh, and the listing called out central AC, but what we realized it was not. It was one very loud window unit for the entire basement dwelling. But because it's a basement and it's very damp, apparently, we had instructions that were also not part of the listing that said 2 separate dehumidifiers, which were very loud, had to be run at all times, in addition to the very loud air conditioning unit. So immediately walking in, it was just this din of commotion.
Just sort of noise, yeah. As they're running the whole time, it's just that undercurrent of buzz the whole time.
Of constant noise.
So we saw these initial problems. We reached out to the host via the Airbnb app. Always had to go through the Airbnb app.
Always stay in.
Protect yourself there. So we reached out to her, and her response was less than helpful. She did respond, but basically it was, okay, I'll just take us off the listing. All right. But, in the back of my head, it's like, okay, well, they're just going to start building our case for getting some sort of refund at some point. So put them on the list. These are things that were not there. Mm-hmm. We've documented them inside the Airbnb app. We'll just, we'll deal with this at the end of the month and see what we end up thinking we need to get back for this, based on the impact that it was to us.
And we didn't go in. Let's caveat that though. We don't go into Airbnbs expecting to get a refund.
No.
We expect to just pay our money and have a wonderful time. And that's the end of the story.
Almost never speak to the host. Not know anything about them. I want to message you to let me in. I want to message you to tell you that I left.
Yeah,
that's pretty much how I want to be involved with the Airbnb host.
We have very reasonable expectations. We understand we're full-time traveling, and we're not staying at the Ritz or something. We know where we're staying. We choose to have a more authentic experience. It's just when you tell me something's there, I really want it to be there.
Right.
If we're paying for something, we want it to be there.
So we got through the initial stuff wasn't there. We looked around. We checked the bed. No bed bugs. That's a huge bonus.
That's a pro. Absolutely.
The bathroom seemed okay. The shower seemed like it was reasonably okay. Everything worked.
Yeah.
The kitchen looked like it had pots and pans and dishes. We had chairs. The couch seemed okay. The TV worked. So I think we kind of got through the initial, documentation of all the things that we took pictures of and took videos of, just so we had it for when we left if we ever needed it. And we started sort of living our lives.
Right. So the next day, once we had been in the unit and the sun had risen and we started seeing things literally in the light, we started noticing a lot of things. So one of the things was I sat down at the dining room table, put my foot underneath the chair, and immediately my foot entered a spider's nest. And I got bit by a spider, which is unsettling to say the least. Unacceptable is really the short answer for
a little
that.
bit, yeah.
I don't expect luxury, but I do not want to be bitten by insects. God. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Seemingly. We also noticed, the aforementioned dishwasher that didn't exist. All of the dishes that were there were probably technically clean, but not very well. So we had to go through and do dishes for all the pots and pans, all the glassware, which was annoying. It's like we just got here and now we're doing all of the dishes basically from the people previous to us. We started seeing some additional, like Kara mentioned with the spiders, we had a few other additional little crawly guys. We started to fight, a couple of ants here and there and some other just kind of random bugs, which isn't a big deal normally if you have a couple of random bugs. But we just started seeing them there on that first day.
Yeah, and then put a pin in that one because that comes back again in a minute.
So with those issues, we reached out to the host. We let her know, hey, we've got some bug issues. Can you get us some traps, maybe some spray? She's very responsive, drops some stuff off, sort of apologizes. And I spray the perimeter for bugs and put on a couple of traps. We have a Zevo thing, a little plug-in guy that catches flying bugs. Does a great job of that, but it doesn't catch the ground guys. So, we started trying fighting that battle, and so now we've talked to her twice in 2 days, which
Within
is already
24
more than I want, but we're continuing on and finding more things as we go. In addition, the kitchen had some wire mesh shelving that had been cut off sort of badly.
Bolt cutters, maybe?
And in the process of putting all the dishes we took down and put back up.
And it sliced my hand. It's funny when I hear like, oh, that hurt. And I look down and I'm literally bleeding.
So that was kind of annoying. We put up a little paper towel on that to keep that from getting us again.
Gary childproofed the jagged metal shelving for me.
I did.
So the first day, again, we get into the shower and there's signage that, I don't know, it wasn't called out anywhere else, but it's signage that all of the plumbing temperatures are reversed. So I don't know, that was just weird. It's
just one more thing. It's like, what is going on with this place? Why is everything sort of weird? Not one of these problems is a big deal all by itself, but you just kind of stack them and it starts getting annoying. And so we were there a few more days. We had been leaving out the Hobbit door and it has a doorknob. Well, it started getting to the point where you turn it and it wouldn't open. You had to kind of mess with it to get it open.
Yeah.
So eventually it stopped. It would just spin, and then we were trapped.
We were literally trapped
inside of this little place.
Inside of this basement unit with no way to get outside.
So we messaged the host again, whose husband came over, and he opened the door, and he said he'd fix it. And a few hours later, he did. Came back over and fixed it. Everything was fine after that. But it's just, again, why? One more thing, and it's a doorknob. So we also started seeing the lights, the overhead lights were flickering just a little bit, like occasionally.
Randomly. Just we'd be sitting on the couch doing nothing, touching nothing, and all of a sudden lights would flicker.
So we messaged her again, hey, the lights are flickering. And she said, did you check the switch? Yes, we did. And, kind of a little back and forth. And she said she'd send her husband over, which again, he came over and said, oh yeah, look, the switch is bad. I'll get an electrician here. The issue that we had was while they were there fixing that, the electrician and the host were talking about the fact that our smoke alarm needed to be replaced because it was an older model and it was prone to false alarms. Put a pin in that one.
Put a pin in that for a second from now. Oh, and don't forget when you're talking about electricity, also one of the things that wasn't called out in the listing or the house manual, but on a piece of paper on the table when we walked in was, oh, by the way, not only is there no oven, but there's a toaster oven. But the toaster oven and the bathroom fan are on the same circuit, so you cannot run them at the same time. You cannot have on the light in the bathroom and use the toaster oven simultaneously because it will blow it out.
Isn't normally a problem. But,
No, but it's just
it was just weird. Just weird.
Just one more weird thing.
So now we've contacted her multiple times over multiple days. And I think the next day, I don't remember the exact time frame, but it was in that same time frame, she starts mentioning that there's going to be people working next door on the boiler.
Next door being, so the basement is split in two.
It's split in two.
The other side of the basement.
Yeah, like just on the other side of the wall.
Sharing a wall with us.
So she said they'll be there for a day. It might drift into 2. Okay.
But it'll be like quiet work.
Like, I don't know what we're going to do
Yeah.
about this. Fine. There can be a guy working on a boiler. I want hot water. So please, that's great.
Yeah.
So they come over, they work. It was not quiet.
Not at all.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't quiet like she had said. They did leave the first day. We were told they were done, and then they showed up on the second morning anyway. So we had that second day of work. We messaged her again and asked, is this really the last day? She apologized and said that should be the last day. We were happy with that. It was annoying, but we'd been out of the house quite a bit. We were out doing things, so it wasn't that big of a deal for most of the day. We had some of the morning, they started around 8 a.m. and I was like, oh, workers are here.
And this is a crew. This isn't like one person mowing the grass outside. We're not that unreasonable. This was a crew of construction with, at that point, that was banging on pipes. That was
it was boiler stuff. So, again, we're a week in and we start thinking, should we leave this place?
We literally did.
We had the discussion, and it was because, it was, again, not one issue that was a problem, but death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts is the perfect saying for this.
And so we were in an area for a particular reason. I was visiting some friends. It's an expensive area. It's in the summertime. There isn't a lot of availability anyway. So we kind of looked, and there wasn't anything in any sort of reasonable driving distance that we could go to. So I was like, well, we can't really go anywhere. We're just going to have to make the best of this. It's fine. It's little stuff. It'll be fine. And it was fine until it wasn't again. So we continued on with these regular issues. We get another message the next week saying there's going to be additional work. They needed a total of 4 days to do electrical work, and then I think some other plumbing or something they were going to be doing on the other side of the basement. Again, just on the other side of our wall. To which, at this point, at least she said, I'm going to compensate you for the fact that they're going to be working on the other side of your wall. So, we ended up with, I think, $500 back on that one. Yeah. And again, it was annoying, but at least at that point, okay, she's acknowledging the fact that this is a problem for us and giving us something back for it. It makes our stay a little cheaper. At least you feel better about it, right? If you're paying one price and you have expectations, if they lower the price, okay, well, the expectations can come down a little bit. It was annoying, but again, it was one of those things where we knew it in advance. Now we can plan it out. We'll be out of the house as much as we can, and we don't have to worry about that noise. Unfortunately, that 4 days turned into, I think, 5 in that case.
Might have been, well, just
on the first one, right? Just on the first one. So that turned into 5 days, which was kind of a problem. Now we're at week 3. We had the same thing again. She reached out and apologized profusely and basically said, hey, we're going to have people here again next week. It's only 2 more days.
And that was for actual construction, right?
I think it was some sort of construction, yeah.
Because there was nail guns. And so that showed up. And that's where, I don't know, what time was it? Like 8 o'clock in the morning or something? And the crew turned on this giant music.
Yes, he messaged us at like 7 in the morning and said, hey, the crew is going to be here today. Is that okay? And we didn't get an opportunity to respond before they arrived. And I replied back and said, I guess it's okay. They're already here. So she offered another $100, which I essentially politely declined in a message. I laid out sort of the case for the things that we had seen, things we had been missing, and, added another number to her and said, hey, how about this instead? Which she did accept. So we got an additional level of compensation back on the place. And it ended up bringing the cost of the place down, I think to 2/3 of what we originally paid. We ended up getting 1/3 of the stay back, which is helpful. But again, just one of those, what is going on? Why are so many little things happening? To which the next morning, we get a 5 a.m. wake up call to the smoke alarm going
Smoke
off.
alarms was going off at 5 a.m.
So we messaged her, and she sent her husband over. Again, very nice people.
Great people.
And the first thing he says is, "Oh yeah, the electrician mentioned that this is an old model and we should replace it because they're prone to false alarms." That's very helpful.
What?
Why didn't this get done before? So just another thing on the pile.
And then don't forget the ants problem too. So
That was ongoing.
we ended up with an ant situation almost the entire time. So to the point where we see ants occasionally on the floor. Then ants became on top of the furniture, just like the tables and things that were killing ants.
Not a lot of them, just little ones here and there.
Little like tiny sugar ants.
But there weren't a lot of them.
Not a lot. But then I would be working on my Mac, on my laptop, and I have an ant crawling on my body, and I'm killing ants on my own skin. Then I like the worst one, I think, sitting on the couch, just, playing on my phone, looking at whatever, and an ant crawls across my screen of my phone. Like,
Ants like TikTok too.
I swear to God.
So we're into our end of our third week. We had talked about, again, we had debated leaving before. We actually debated leaving again.
Right.
We only had a week left, so I thought rather than trying to move somewhere else there, we would maybe come to the place we are currently. Maybe we could leave early. And I looked into it, and unfortunately it wasn't available. So we only had 5 days left, so we just sort of dealt with it for that last week
and spent a lot of time out of the unit.
Much as we could.
Yeah.
So we made the best of a very irritating situation.
Right. So all of these problems aside, the death by 1,000 paper cuts of issues that we experienced for 4 weeks straight, we had these issues. Therefore, it is critically important for you to document everything that happens.
Right. It's your only leverage. If you're inside of the Airbnb app, every time you find a problem, send it to the host. If you identify things when you first get into a stay, which is what we recommend, is go around and look for things, which we did. A lot of things presented themselves as the situation moved forward, but we documented all the things we could find on the first day right away and told her, hey, this stuff is missing, because then we have an opportunity later, either through the host, if they're amenable to it, or through Airbnb themselves, to get a refund of some variety on some of these things, which isn't ideal. You'd rather just have the stay go the way you want. But if you're documenting, it's going to be better for you in the long run.
So one of the key things to do for this, number one, as soon as you get in the unit, take video of everything and do the same on the way out. Take video of everything so that you can prove if anything happens, something was or was not there, was or was not in the condition that is claimed by you or them.
Yeah.
Just in case something really bad happens, take video. Take screenshots of the listing as when you booked it so that nothing gets changed on you. And you can have that documentation. You must protect yourself. And critically important, as Gary said, only communicate with your host through the Airbnb app. If they try to get you to use a text number for their personal phone or WhatsApp or something like that, do not do that. If they message you that way, move everything, copy and paste back into the Airbnb app, because you have to have that in platform to protect yourself.
You do. So additionally, you can actually, when you look through the reviews for a place you're looking at, read the reviews, look at the star rating, but don't worry about those so much. Read the actual words that people are saying. Read between the lines. A lot of times people will say some things that are trying to give away a problem without maybe offending the host or trying to get a retaliatory review or maybe some sort of retaliatory charge. If you say something bad about a host, they may get mad about that and try to do something, either say you broke an item on the way out or you caused a stain or whatever and try to charge you. And then you got to deal with that with Airbnb. And you're probably not going to lose that, especially if you've got a video on the way in and a video on the way out.
Right.
But it's going to be something you have to deal with. So, make sure that you're looking at all these reviews before you even book a place to know if you've got a responsive host, if you've got somebody that has historically said that everything's been clean and everything is appropriate, all the things are in there, people aren't complaining about those things. So, do your due diligence in advance and know the listing very well before you actually, book it. But here's the kicker. Even with all the documentation, even with all the compensation we received, you can't undo that bad experience. You can't get back your peace of mind. You can't get back the sleep you lost. You can't get back that experience you had that was sort of negative for that month. So preparing in advance and doing the best you can is going to help.
But the truth is, sometimes a property is just inherently flawed, or the host is negligent, and no amount of your preparation can fix any of that stuff.
The preparation you do, the video, the pictures, it gives you recourse. It gives you something after the fact to potentially get some compensation for it, but it doesn't fix the experience.
It's not a magic shield. So here are our lessons learned from our experience of this less than optimal Airbnb month.
Right. Number one, read the reviews very carefully. Read through all of them. Read the good ones, read the bad ones. Try to read between the lines. Look at all the pictures. Even
if it's a 5-star review, sometimes people can hide warnings. So pay attention. Number two, Airbnb only gives you photos of a listing, so you have to look at these photos very carefully. If there's no photo of the bathroom in your unit, there might be a reason why. Pay attention to things like that. Not just what you see in the pictures, but what you don't see.
Number three, communicate with your host before the booking. Ask them anything. How fast is the Wi-Fi? How dark is it at night? What's the closest highway? It doesn't matter what you ask. Ask them something to see how quickly they respond and what sort of response you get. This should give you an idea of what type of host you're going to be dealing with, because a lot of times a stay may not be great, but the host can make up for it, or vice versa. The stay is really good, but you have a terrible host. Number four is consider travel insurance. There's yearly travel insurance plans that if you're doing this lifestyle and staying in Airbnb quite a bit, potentially if we did need to leave, if we had a safety issue that we thought this isn't just annoying, this is something we really need to leave for, that can be a big assistance in getting some of your money back after the fact.
And finally, a lesson learned is trust your gut. I think we knew, actually you mentioned that seeing these reviews that would probably be our most challenging Airbnb stay for the year, our first year of travel.
I didn't know it in advance, yeah.
And I would say the second I saw the door and opened it and went inside this Hobbit door, I immediately knew this was going to be a problem. It was dark. It was a basement. Like, regardless, just trust your gut. Trust your gut.
We probably should have pulled the plug early and done something else. We got too deep and it became problematic to move.
Yeah. So trust your gut. But a lessons learned for Airbnb hosts too. Expectation management is a really, really important thing to keep in mind. Had we been told in advance that there would be 3 of the 4 weeks we were in this Airbnb would be an active construction site, we could have changed our plans.
We could have rebooked then when there was more availability months in advance rather than trying to rebook on the spot.
Or even a day before we got there of saying 3 of the 4 weeks, or the majority of the time we were going to be there was going to be this loud and things were different.
Right.
We could have even if we didn't rebook, we would have been able to say, okay, well, at least they warned us of that.
Right. And then the same thing applies to amenities. If you've got an amenity that isn't there, don't list it thinking, oh, they're not going to notice, or let me fudge the numbers a little bit and make it look like a better listing. Just put your listing the way it is. Let people make those decisions in advance, because when they show up, they're going to be very disappointed. You want to under-promise and over-deliver rather than the reverse. And we ran into a significant function of over-promise, under-deliver. And that made our experience not nearly as good as it would have been. Had we known going in what we were coming into, we probably would have felt better about it.
Right.
You know, a lot of our upset and the feelings we had were the delta between what we expected and what we received. Yeah. So if you're a host, think about that, you know, and maybe once in a while, stay in your own listing.
Stay in your own place. Literally, I can't even stress that enough. I think if anyone stayed, like the owners stayed in the unit we were in, they would see that there were very glaring things that were a problem, like spider webs in every corner.
But even if you're not in that particular listing, stay in your own listing and see what it's like to cook in the kitchen. Do you have everything you need? Is there anything that's missing? You know, you try to make things, you try to sit and watch TV. Is this couch comfortable? How is this table? Yeah. All of those things will show you, oh, there's probably some gaps here that I could fill that are easy, don't cost a lot of money, but will bring a lot of guest satisfaction.
Yeah. So what do you think? Have you ever had an Airbnb situation that could not be fixed by documentation, or really just any nightmare story?
Right.
Tell us in the comments. We want to know that we're not alone.
That would make us feel a lot better, actually. We appreciate you watching. If you like this, subscribe, hit the like button, send it to somebody else you might think want to watch it.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you being here. Follow along for the rest of our continuing journeys.
Yeah. We're on the road full time. So there's no end in sight for the YouTube adventure we have here. We're going to tell you everywhere we go, our experiences while we're doing it, and the money we paid to travel.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Happy traveling. We are going.
Yay. Many leather-bound books.
Rich mahogany.
I don't think that's mahogany.
Works every time.
Most of the time.
Maybe the pictures look like they were taken in 2005 on a potato. We're on the road full time and
in a good Airbnb.
in a good Airbnb.